Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. My name's Michael Dunham, and I am part of the team here at ClearlyIP. I'll be joined by Tony Lewis a little later in a live demo, and he's going to be available for questions after the presentation. We often get asked by customers, what exactly is virtual faxing and how does it work? So today's presentation will be a what, why, and how with a live demo to help you better understand the benefits, features, and commonly asked questions around e-faxing or virtual faxing. Tony, you were just on a little bit. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me here, Mike.
All right, so let's get started.
It's kind of sad. Usually Bree does these, and she's
I
out on her
know.
honeymoon in Hawaii.
Yes, so you have to deal with my less wonderful self, but we'll get through this. By the end of this webinar, we're going to have answered 3 questions for you. What's faxing? Who's still using it and why? How exactly does virtual faxing work? And this presentation should take about 45 minutes, so let's kick it off. For those of you that are not familiar with ClearlyIP, I'm going to give you a brief introduction overview. ClearlyIP consists of a team of experts with over 300 years of combined experience building some of the largest telecom applications in the world. Our team has been closely associated with FreePBX open source community. We've got offices located in Wisconsin, Vancouver, Montreal, and staff located around the globe. Our team includes telecom experts that are known leaders in the industry selling, developing, and pioneering new technologies to the business telecom marketplace. We support our partner channel and solutions for end users for small, medium businesses and enterprise global companies worldwide that want to take advantage of unified communications. In short, we're a group of telephone nerds that are just excited about future possibilities and how we can bring them to you. Faxing often feels like it's been around forever. And really the first modern fax machine that everyone would recognize on this call was made in around 1964 by the Xerox Corporation. However, the technology itself has been around a lot longer, about 121 years longer. The technology was developed in 1843, believe it or not. So that means that fax technology that's being used today is not much different from 177 years ago. In 1924, the first transcontinental fax was sent. It was a photo of Calvin Coolidge sent to New York from London. And that same year, the first color photo was faxed. Just for reference, in 1920, only 1% of homes in the US had electricity or indoor plumbing. So just think about that for a minute. 1960s, the United States Army transmitted the first photograph via satellite facsimile to Puerto Rico from the Deal test site using a courier satellite. Radio fax is still in limited use today for transmitting weather charts and information to ships at sea. And in 1964, Xerox Corporation introduced and patented what many consider to be the first commercialized version of the modern fax machine under the name LDX, or long distance xerography. In 1985, Hank Magnuski, founder of GammaLink, produced the first computer fax board called GammaFax. Those boards could provide voice telephony via analog expansion bus. So 177 years, why is it still in use? In legal and financial documents that require a signature, there are terms called wet signatures and dry signatures. A wet signature is the original signature, so called because it was once, albeit briefly, wet from the ink on the document. A dry signature is a copy or a faxed version of a wet signature. So, do dry and wet signatures carry the same legal weight? Usually, yes. But the law can still vary from state to state, and typically lenders, medical, and law offices are affected the most. The other reason people are reluctant to change if it works, and I've been doing this, forever, is it worth it? Is it worth the hassle to change? And sorry, but in the most cases, the answer is most definitely yes. Since important and vital fax communications are still relevant today, why would you want to limit your operations of standing in your office at a physical fax machine every time you need a fax? This is where e-faxing or virtual faxing comes in. It enables the ease of sending and receiving faxes supported by several devices. So you can send a fax in your car with your mobile device or from your laptop, tablet, or really any device anywhere, anytime you've got an internet connection. Another important factor is ROI. So, what kind of return on investment does switching to electronic faxing hold? Let's go over some items. Cost for a new machine, maintenance. If it breaks, it's got to be fixed or replaced. Cost for a dedicated phone line, additional long distance charges. Bottleneck, you can only send or receive one fax at a time. If an additional fax is being sent to the same recipient, they're going to get a busy signal. Redundancy, it's one more specialized item to buy toner for. Ecological, electronic faxing reduces energy use and you only print the documents you need. Time and efficiency, there will always be a bottleneck when you're waiting to send multiple faxes to multiple recipients. Paper jams happen, they don't need to. Individually, each of these reasons will make sense. But when you put two or three of them together, the choice becomes pretty clear. And let's not forget, it's a machine that uses energy even in standby. So it can be a furnace in the summertime, adding to the cost to cool the room down. So the examples I'm going to give here are going to be based on ClearlyIP's fax platform, SendFax.to. There are other e-faxing services available, but we'll use SendFax.to to illustrate the basic principles. Some of the benefits of e-faxing, it removes the fax machine, but makes sending and receiving faxes easy. Inbound fax to email. You can define up to 2 email addresses that will be sent the inbound fax on a per did basis. Outbound email to fax allows you to send an email to a fax line. Take outbound emails to xxx at SendFax.to and convert to a fax and send to the phone number of XXX. Another benefit, rebrandable email alerts and even the SendFax.to domain for resellers. With SendFax.to, there are no eFax portal issues. It relies 100% on email for faxing. Fax CDR showing all send and received faxes in the store, and ability to set a password that all fax PDFs are encrypted with at group level. So if you're thinking to yourself, this sounds complicated. It's not really. Actually, sending a physical fax is more challenging than electronic faxing. And in just a few minutes, Tony's going to walk us through it. So let's start with inbound faxing, fax to email. SendFax.to online portal easily configures inbound email delivery from any fax-enabled T38 number, available in most North American regions. Inbound faxes can be delivered up to 2 email addresses. So for example, you could send your receptionist or a specific department person to manage and distribute your inbound faxes. Outbound faxing, you can enable and manage specific email addresses or domains to send faxes using our SendFax.to service. Each fax-capable DID on your account can be associated with up to 100 authorized email addresses or email domains, giving you a lot of flexibility. Email addresses can be authorized to send for multiple fax DIDs. When sending a fax by email, users can easily specify which fax number to use as the sending address. Suppose users are authorized to use multiple fax numbers. In that case, our system will allow them to choose which number to send from immediately with a follow-up email, enabling them to send and select the proper account. What about confirmations? I mean, that's a question that comes up, and that's taken care of as well. Once your message has been sent, you will receive a confirmation email. If you have multiple numbers associated with your fax, you'll be prompted to select one for a confirmation to be sent to. And because it's email-based, it can be customized through API. ClearlyIP offers partners and customers the API solution so you can be notified via a web callback on inbound and outbound faxes. Now you can use your multifunction printer to send and receive faxes without a traditional phone line. If it has an internet connection, you can fax to and from it. So let's talk about purchase options. So purchase the fax call path. We've got a low volume option. Starts out as an MSRP of $9.99 USD per month. That includes 300 minutes, or about 400 to 450 pages a month of faxing. A per minute charge of 0.025 cents per minute after the 300 minutes are used. High volume starts at $24.99 per month and includes 2,000 minutes, or about 3,000 to 3,500 pages a month of faxing, and a per minute charge of, again, 0.025 cents per minute after the 2,000 minutes are used. The phone numbers, MSRP is $1 per month per DID for US or Canadian numbers, and inbound and outbound email groups are free at no cost. There's no contracts, it's all month to month, and discounts are available for large volumes and partners. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Tony to show you just how easy e-faxing can be. Tony, you ready for this?
Let me get a screen share set up. 1 second. Okay, you should be able to see my screen.
Not yet.
You still can't see my screen?
There it is.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm logged into our standard trunking portal here, and I'm going to actually create a new location to do the faxing on, but you can do faxing on any additional location that you have already. So if you have a SIP trunking location with us or a Clearly Cloud location, any type of location can have faxing enabled on it. You can also set up a metered trunking location, what we call our metered for calling, which has no cost. You just buy your DID that you can use for faxing and then add your fax service. So we're going to come in and create a new location. And I'm going to pick SIP trunking. And I'm going to do metered for the voice. So I don't have any charging for voice since I want to do just faxing only. And we're going to do it on a month-to-month plan. And we're going to call this our webinar fax test. Go ahead and hit next. We're going to go purchase a DID that we're going to end up using for faxing. So pick your state and your rate center in your country. It'll come back with different DIDs. Make sure whatever DID you buy that it supports faxing. And that means it has a little fax icon like all these show. So we'll pick one of those. Of course, if you need to port numbers, we can port your numbers in for faxing. No problems there. I'm not going to set up 911 because I'm not going to use this for voice. And agree to the terms. And this is going to create the new location for us. And once the location is created, we can go into location and enable faxing on it and set up our fax groups. So this process takes about 30 seconds. We're all done. And we have our new location, webinar fax test. So when we go look at this location, and again, it does have voice service. You can just choose not to use the voice side and you have no charges associated with it then. Under fax service, we're not set up for any faxing plans. So the first thing we're going to do is go add one. So we're going to hit the pencil icon, change the plan or quantity, and we want either the high or low. If we hit the little drop down here, we'll get an explanation of high versus low. So high, as Mike talked about, is 2,000 minutes at $24.99 a month. Low is 300 minutes at $9.99 a month. So we'll say low, and we only want one of those. Normally you'd have a charge. My demo account doesn't. It's free for me, so you guys won't ever see that. You'll see the $9.99 charge on it. And we've now purchased that fax call path. And we can see we have one low volume faxing. Now, if we know we're going to use more than that 200 minutes, occasionally we're going to go over, we can hit the pencil icon. We can adjust our metered services. We can say we want to allow for 2 more call paths or faxing paths where we can have multiple faxes at a time. And you're going to set a monthly limit of, I want to spend no more than $100 a month on faxing when I'm going to pay by the minute, for example. So in this example now, we have the one low volume that includes 200 minutes. And then when those are used up, we added the ability to have 2 more fax call paths at the same time so we can send receive and that we're paying per minute with a $100 a month limit that we want to spend at that 2.5 cents a minute. So now that we have fax service added, we simply scroll down and we're going to go add an inbound group first to route inbound faxes. We're going to add a new group. We're going to call this fax demo account. And you can pick that you can send the email to the primary email only, the inbound fax, secondary, primary and secondary. Or if you buy any of our little appliances that you can plug a fax machine into, you can send it to the appliance only, the appliance plus the primary, or the appliance plus the primary and secondary email. We'll go ahead and pick primary only. We want to attach it as a PDF, the inbound fax, and then we're going to define an inbound email here. And I've set up a fake Gmail account to do this on. We're going to add this to the list and save it. And you can create multiple groups. So we have an inbound group. Now we need to create an outbound group to allow outbound faxing from our email. So again, fax, wow, can't type today, demo fax. The station ID is generally like your name. That will show up at the top of every fax page that's required in the US. So I'm just going to put ClearlyIP. And now, what emails are allowed to send outbound faxes in this group? So I could do that email. So now this user is allowed to send an outbound fax. You can add up to 100 here. Or if I wanted any users within my company to be able to fax, I can just set at ClearlyIP.com the whole domain. And now anyone at ClearlyIP.com can use this group. But if I try to do at Gmail, for example, it's going to say absolutely not. Or any of the other common email domains. Or I can just do my specific email if I wanted to. So I'm going to remove that one and that one. We're going to leave just the Gmail. Add to the list. You could add more groups if you wanted or save it. So now we've set up at least one inbound group really easily and one outbound group. And if we had a fax device on this inbound group, again, we could pick like appliance and primary. So the inbound fax would go to the little appliance, which connects to your fax machine, and it would email it to you. And you would just pick from here which appliance that you bought from us from the drop down, which I don't have any in this account, so I can't pick it. We'll go back to primary only. And now we just need to link that phone number or multiple phone numbers to this inbound group so it knows how to route the fax. So right now, this phone number we bought is routing as a voice for like SIP trunking. It's routing to this location for voice by default. So we just hit the little binoculars under routing options. Instead of it going to this location, we want to send it to the fax service. What inbound group and what outbound groups allowed to use this DID to send outbound faxes. Save it and we're done. So at this point, we can start sending and receiving faxes. To send a fax is pretty simple. You just take your phone number. So we'll go over to my handy Gmail account here. We're going to compose a new email. We're going to send the fax to a phone number at SendFax.to. If you don't provide a subject and body, it will ignore that. If you provide a subject and body, it will use that as your cover page. Or if you attach a document called cover page or cover space page, it will automatically use that as your cover page. So now you can start attaching documents for your fax or just type in what you want your fax to show. And I think I have a, sample PDF. I'm going to drag this PDF over here. So my cover page is just going to be test fax. And it's going to include this sample PDF, and I hit send. And it's going to go send that fax out. And then I happen to send it to a DID that is going to come back inbound on SendFax because it was a DID we bought from SendFax. But that's how easy it is just to start sending outbound faxes. Now, if my email address belongs to multiple outbound groups, it's going to email me back saying, which group do you want to use? Which of the DIDs do you want to use? So if my email belonged to 5 different DIDs, I get an email back that gives me a list of which DIDs I want. which DID I want to use for this outbound fax. I pick which DID I want for billing purposes, and then it will send the fax out using that DID and whatever billing profile set up for that DID. So at this point, we'll open up for questions. There's a Q&A section here. And again, from a what does it cost to do faxing, inbound and outbound groups are free. DIDs are $1 a month, or depending if you're a reseller, you get discounts on that for each of your DIDs you want. And faxing is either $9.99 a month for the low volume or $24.99 for the high volume. And if you exceed those higher low volumes, it's 2.5 cents a minute. And you can stack call pass. So you could, if you're a heavy user that's going to do 5,000 minutes of faxing a month, you could buy 3 of the 2,000 minute packages, and that bundles together to give you 6,000 minutes. So I'm being asked, how does it work with an appliance? Okay, and there we go. We can see it was successfully sent. In a minute, we'll actually get probably the inbound one. There it is. So we sent and received because we sent from our DID to our DID, but we can see the sent. This is the confirmation that goes out. So your email address that you sent from, what number you sent the fax to, the page count, how many pages got sent, the remote station ID of who you faxed to, how long it took. So we did 3 pages in 35 seconds, and what speed it was transferred at, and what it consisted of. A cover page, which was the body of our email, and then that PDF we uploaded. So this is our sending confirmation. And then because the same email address was used to receive the inbound, we click here and we can see the inbound fax from, the phone number, the station ID, what number they faxed to, what time it was received at, how long it took, and the page count. And of course, we can view the fax. The other thing on faxing is within our portal, if we go look under view CDRs, we have a fax CDRs. And if you click on that, you can see all your inbound faxes, inbound and outbound faxes. So this is the inbound leg because we sent to ourselves, and this is the outbound email to fax leg. And from here, we can see the state. So it was completed, and we can see a full log. So if something goes wrong, we can see a log of everything. So fax was received from ClearlyIP sales at Gmail to this phone number, and what IP address sent it. We're rendering it to a TIFF. We completed the render. We're waiting to send. We started the send. It got answered. It delivered. And this all happened in, what, less than a minute. If there was any errors, it would show up here. And if there were any errors sending the fax, you would get an email back to yourself. The sender would get an email back saying we couldn't deliver it, or we tried 4 times and couldn't deliver it, because there's retries built in for busies or disconnects. So you'll get a full email back in the event we can't send it also. Being asked, what's the difference between your solution and the current one I'm using within FreePBX with my SipStation trunk and my other provider? I'm not sure because I don't know what you're using today. This is a standalone faxing solution. It has nothing to do with FreePBX. It's its own standalone faxing solution. Lets you do email to fax, fax to email, and then the faxing through the appliances that we have. How the appliances work is we'll go look at locations again. If you want to buy an appliance, I'm trying to see if I have one on a location. Hold on. No. So I don't have any purchased currently. To buy an appliance is pretty simple. You go into the location you want to buy it for. And under fax devices, add a new device. And you give us the name. You give us an email address to notify in the event this device goes offline or the device is unreachable. We can send you a notification. What area code to prepend? That way somebody on the actual fax machine plugged in this device only dials a 7-digit number. What area code do you want us to add? And then the fax appliances have 2 ports on them. So when you send an outbound, what caller ID do you want to use on port 1 and port 2? And they can be the same caller ID like I just did there. and that's it. You hit save. That runs through a checkout process. The device is $220. You buy it, we ship it to you. It's just plug and play. You plug it in, and it's done. There's nothing for you to manage on it. API-ing for faxing. So yeah, so Mike mentioned that. So faxing can be done inbound. Again, inbound can be to an email address or 2 email addresses or to an appliance plus email addresses. Outbound can be from the appliance with your fax machine plugged in or from email, or we have a full API spec to send and receive faxing. So under our API section, fax, we have a full documentation, how to authenticate, how to get all your DIDs that do faxing, how to get details on a specific fax, get the PDF for a specific fax, get the PNG thumbnail of the first page, and how to send a new fax. So we fully documented how to send and receive faxing through an API call if you want to connect it with any third-party services. Hey, Mike, that seems to be all our questions at this point.
All right. Well, thank you for that very clear and clean demo. We appreciate that. So if there's any additional questions that did not get answered, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, we've got a chat right on the web. You can send it to our email that's also listed on our website. We're happy to answer any questions and talk you through, you know, even an installation. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody for attending. We appreciate your time. And look at that, it's 15 minutes early. So, you know, enjoy that extra 15. You have a great day, guys. Bye.